Hey guys, it's me, Tafaar, top player, the best Patter Toastman, the best Mikey, yada yada yada, and today I'm going to be going over in no particular order 5 of the biggest new mistakes that I see in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Number 1. Mashing way too much. Most people seem to think that Nick Brawl is a super mashy game since most attacks come out pretty quickly and at low level no one really knows how to play defensively. This noob mistake kinda goes two ways. For one, it's definitely a really scrubby habit to just throw out moves on someone's block until one hits, because most moves are actually punishable on block. So that means, for 2, if you're not punishing the mashing, that's a mistake on your part as well. Lots of people seem to get frustrated early on and figure there's nothing they can do about SpongeBob or Aang mashing Nair on them. But if you look at the frame data, most light aerial moves are actually -8 without yellow blocking, which is enough time for you to land a grab or respond with one of your own light moves if they're not spacing themselves carefully. You can also respond to pressure by wave dashing back and waiting for them to whiff or do something else that's unsafe if you don't think you can punish your opponent outright for hitting your block. If your opponent is spacing themselves properly so you can't get an immediate punish, then you should try taking the space from them so that they're forced to do something that either can be punished or to get them to start being defensive in response. Number 2. Not yellow blocking. This kind of goes hand in hand with having poor defensive habits. In case you don't know, yellow blocking is a mechanic where if you hold a corresponding direction to your opponent's attack or block within 6 frames of getting hit, you'll flash yellow instead of gray, and you'll suffer way less block push and 20% less block stun, which makes it easier to punish your opponent's attacks and makes it less likely for you to get pushed to a ledge and get teetered. To yellow block, you just need to hold towards your opponent if they're doing a middle or forward move, down if they're doing an up move, or up if they're doing a down move. If you do this and time it within 6 frames of getting hit, you'll also do a parry, which allows you to act without any block stun and immediately try to punish your opponent. If you're standing on the end of a platform or ledge, it's super important that you try to anticipate what your opponent's approach will be. And I see way too often people getting teetered or failing to punish moves that they should have enough time to react to because they didn't yellow block. Number 3. Having poor recovery habits. Immediately using your jump and air dash out of hit stun to try to swing the game's momentum back in your favor is probably the biggest noob mistake of them all in Nick Brawl. If you get sent off stage, you don't always need to burn your resources immediately. A lot of the time, you can simply drift back towards the stage by holding left or right, and you'll be just fine. Some characters also might have moves that can halt or slow your aerial momentum without making you commit to a jump or air dash. It's generally a much better practice to wait and see when you should use your resources in response to how your opponent will try to continue applying pressure. If they're able to chase you off stage, you'd much rather have your jump and air dash so that you can respond accordingly. It's worth noting that you can't immediately air dash out of tumble after you get hit, which is why most people will jump first so that they can air dash after. An option that you should also consider is canceling the tumble animation with an attack instead so that you can decide if you want to air dash or jump later. You don't always need to do this since there's some instances where immediately jumping could be better, but altogether, when you're trying to make it back to stage, you don't want to use more resources than you have to without good reason. Air dashing to the ledge is one of the harder options to cover, so if you burn it immediately, it makes your opponent's job of killing you much easier. Number 4. Dash attacking way too much. This is a super common habit, and it's easy to understand why, especially if you come from a Smash background. Dash attacking in Smash can often be a pretty good burst option that can catch your opponent off guard as they move around on the ground trying to threaten your space. This line of thinking, however, does not apply quite as well in Nick Brawl. You see, in Smash games, movement itself is often quite committal. Blocking, rolling, spot dodging, etc. all have startup frames as you begin to dash. On top of that, jumping also is slightly more committal compared to Nick Brawl because Nick Brawl does not have jump squat frames. This means that you usually shouldn't be able to apply a dash attack in the same situations you might be looking for in Nick Brawl because at any point during your opponent's dash, they can block and intercept your dash attack. In high level gameplay, dash attacks are often reserved for tech chasing, catching your opponent's landing, and whiff punishing. To find a dash attack in other situations requires you to have a read on your opponent's habits as to when they want to stop blocking, throw out moves, or jump. Dash attacking is often much more punishable in Nick Brawl as well because you stop completely on your opponent's block, whereas in Smash, you might have the ability to cross them up. On top of this, dash attacking is often much more telegraphed because you do not have the ability to do a dash attack from a standing position. Dash attacks require you to enter a dash state which has an 8-frame startup, and then the dash attack itself will have 5 to 9 frames of startup, save for Shredder who has a frame 16 light dash attack and a frame 7 strong dash attack. This makes dash attacking several frames slower on average coming from a standing position, which makes it a much less viable option to get out of the corner and effectively removes it as a burst option if you're not already in a full dash state. And last but not least, number 5, not RPSing. The rock paper scissors mechanic can be huge in Nick Brawl. If you're not aware, strong attacks counter each other in a circular fashion. Middle moves beat up moves beat down, and down moves beat middle. Some characters have strong moves that they might like to fish for kills with or use in neutral. For April, she loves to use her aerial down strong since it's big, it's a multi-hit, does a ton of damage, and is plus on block. Instead of trying to block this move outright, you can go for an RPS with one of your upward strong moves instead. Threatening the fact that you know how to use this mechanic makes it so that your opponent will have to play more reserved with how they like to use a certain move. Lots of low to mid-level cat dogs and Dannies, for example, might try to end their combos with an aerial up strong. but in a lot of cases, this up strong isn't true. If you know this and you see it coming, you can go for your own aerial neutral strong and score a reversal. This mechanic requires a bit of experience and knowledge when it comes to knowing what your opponent's character likes to do in certain situations, but if you know how to use it effectively, you'll be greatly rewarded. And there you have it, 5 big ol' noob habits that I see often in Nick Brawl. I hope you learned something from this, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe since it'll help my channel grow and I'll definitely appreciate it greatly. If you have anything you'd like me to go over in the future, please let me know and I'll do my best to get around to it. Peace!